Today I have Dr. Sally Johnston with me via electronic connection. Sally is the outgoing director of Project YES, and YES is an acronym for Youth Exploring Service, and it's a ministry of the Presbytery of Yukon. Sally, I'm so glad you're here with us today.
Well, thanks, Kurt. I'm really excited about this unique way of communicating a bit about Project YES. Even though I'm living about 4,500 miles away, my heart's still very much in Alaska and with this program. So thanks for making this possible.
Well, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to trying out this method of kind of sharing a bit about what Project YES is about. So, Sally, the Presbytery has been really excited about the fruit which Project YES is already producing. So maybe a way to start this conversation would be for you to tell just a little bit about what the ministry is about.
Well, I'd like to share a little bit about three basic goals that are involved with Project YES that are very much interrelated. And, of course, the first one is developing leadership potential in Inupiat youth on the North Slope of Alaska in the Presbyterian congregations that are there. So the leadership potential of youth is kind of primary, but in backup and support of that is support of the adults who work with youth and care about children's and youth ministry that are working out in the villages. And so developing a village-to-village network of support for those adults is key to be able to support the youth in their leadership development. And within all of that is a goal of respecting the Christian Inupiat heritage on the North Slope as a gift, a very invaluable gift, not only for the youth of those communities, but really for the whole church as we face the particular challenges of the 21st century that we're all facing.
Yeah.
And some of the ways that looks is there's a summer program involved. There's support that goes on during the winter months and the fall months with visits from the director to each of the villages to encourage the adults that are working there. There's an advisory board that forms the network of support where we get online and on phone and talk with each other from time to time and work together on this project. And then in the summer is the great opportunity to have some exchange of teams from each of the villages visit each other to lead children's programs, Bible school, to lead youth programs in each other's villages. So that's kind of the structure of it, but with those three goals of leadership development, networking adults who work with youth, and also respecting the Christian Inupiat heritage of that region and supporting that.
Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure everybody who sees this will know what you mean. Could you say a bit about what you mean when you say the Christian Inupiat heritage?
Well, the church has been on the North Slope for over 100 years. The Barrow Church celebrated its 100-year anniversary just a couple years ago. The village of Anaktuvik Pass, where I lived for 4 years, celebrated its 50th anniversary. So the Christian church has been there for quite a while, and the elders of those villages, the village elders, have a lot of stories and experiences of church leadership and the impact of the church in that region. The church in that region, just like the church in the lower 48, is becoming a gray church, and the young people of our communities need to know their heritage, their Christian heritage, and in that particular place, know their Inupiat heritage and how those two interact. And I think they're particular valuable models of leadership and valuable models of the way people relate to the land, care for the earth, that are all a part of the unique perspective that our Inupiat elders carry within their memory and are now have an opportunity and need the opportunity to pass along to their young people who need that heritage to sustain them into the future.
Absolutely. So it's an approach that really fits the context then of that cultural group.
That's the real heart of the program, is to be a place-based ministry that respects what the gifts are in that community and seeks to bring that forth, both the leadership potential and just the heritage, and help youth to value their heritage, both their Christian heritage and their Inupiat heritage.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you just completed the second year, and it seems like it's a progressive thing, that what happens one year leads to the next year. So what's different in year two compared to year one?
Well, year one was a bit of an experiment, a pilot that grew out of a ministry that my husband Keith Johnston and I had in Annaktuvic Pass. And over our 3 years, by the time we had took the trip in 2011, we had been there and grown a youth group and seen youth from outside of the village, from Anchorage, come every summer on a team to do youth ministry and Bible school for our youth. But our youth had never made a mission trip, and this had been happening for 20 years. That a team had come from the outside and offered this kind of model of youth leadership, doing ministry with others. So we said, what would you think about taking a team of our youth, and how would you like to go and do the same kind of program as Trinity's done for us for the village of New Ixet? Well, our kids were very excited about that and took it seriously, and we made a trip, and so it was our pilot trip to New Ixet, and had good interaction with the folks there and support, and got the youth in New Ixet excited about forming their own team for 2012. So in 2012, we moved from one village visiting another village to an exchange between villages, where New Ixet prepared a team to come to Annaktuvic Pass. Annaktuvic Pass took a trip to Wainwright and involved a new team, a new group of thinking about 2013, that Wainwright might have a team ready to be a part of this exchange for 2013. And one other new thing that happened was that our old partners from Trinity and Anchorage saw the vision of what we were trying to do. When they were there in summer of 2011 and we were getting ready to take our kids to New Ixet, they said, wow, next summer we ought to think about a whole new model for the way we're involved in Annaktuvic Pass. Instead of coming to do ministry for the children and youth of Annaktuvic Pass, we should come and do ministry with. So it's from a ministry for others to a ministry with others, a real partnership between these two congregations. And so I thought that was very exciting, and added a new dimension of a cross-cultural experience of thinking about leadership. We exposed our Anchorage youth to village elders who talked with all of the youth about leadership experiences they had. They're growing up in the region of Annaktuvic Pass, being nomadic and having the influence of the church, building their own church. These kids who perhaps didn't understand the history of the church in Annaktuvic Pass from Anchorage came to understand more that church is deeply rooted, and to respect and appreciate the presence of the church on the North Slope.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It's cool the way it begins with one church, and you started reaching out to other churches on the North Slope, and now it's even affecting an urban church. It just seems to be a growing movement. It's pretty great.
I think that is what is God's had. The way I experience it, God puts a green light on an idea, and green light keeps on with new dimensions of it unfolding. So that's the way I see this project. That it's a very, very green and hopeful kind of project.
Well. So now, after you've been through 2 years, you've been working with an advisory board. You've got adult leaders. You've got youth who are leaders. What's next? What are their dreams? What are you hearing from the folks involved?
Well, in my most recent visit to Annaktuvic Pass, a conversation with the congregation there, what emerged was the hope and dream that the next director could come from one of the villages that are currently involved, or one of the villages on the North Slope that will be seeking a new director to start as early as January of 2013, and they talked about working with the board that's been advising Project Yes to seek out an appropriate person or candidates for this position that would actually come from one of the villages, which would be a very exciting thing to happen for this program and for the churches up there. Exactly. The Presbytery is currently seeking donations to fund the director part of and the administration of the program. And I'm going to end here in a minute by telling people how they can give if they want to help support that ministry. But it's not just the Presbytery. The village churches have to participate in the funding too.
Can you tell me a bit about what the village funding pays for and how those funds are raised?
Well, some of the listeners may not understand the fact that all of these villages are not connected by roads. The only way to get in and out of the villages is through air travel. And we're very fortunate to have, in this past year, developed a partnership with a Mission Aviation Repair Center. It's called MARC, that makes affordable transportation possible for those doing mission trips in Alaska. And so even though we have that help, that it's not as expensive as commercial air, it's still a significant item in the budget. And the local churches, the local congregations, their goal is to try to put the funds together through their own donations, their own church offerings, as well as support that they have available in sometimes their local village corporations are able to provide donations for a project like this that benefit the youth in the community. So they have different resources besides their own giving that they can use, and even fundraisers. Some of the youth in Nuiqsut this summer, prior to their trip, they did some fundraisers, from cakewalks to Cakewalk is the primary fundraiser in the villages. That's a fun thing to do, and so the youth were helpful in putting together some funds for their own trip to pay for their transportation and pay for their food while they're in the other villages, and some supplies that are needed for Vacation Bible School and so forth.
Yeah. Well, Sally, I think that's probably enough for today, but I really want to thank you for your time and for allowing us to know a little bit more about what Project Yes is about. And also, I want to encourage anyone who would like to contribute to Project Yes to do so. The fund for 2013 is up and running, and I'm going to hold up a piece of paper here in a minute that can tell you how you can give to that. We're also getting Project Yes listed as an extra commitment opportunity fund, which, among other things, means it will shortly have its own website, which we are trying to get up this week. Maybe by the time you see this, it's already there. So you can go to www.pbyucon.org, and you can find our website, and from there you can find the Extra Commitment Offering Fund. Here, does this show up? I don't even know if this shows up. I better read it. I don't think that's going to work. Could you see it?
I could see it.
You
need to hold a little bit higher. Send donations for Project Yes to Presbytery of the Yukon. Attention, Project Yes 2013. 616 West 10th Avenue, Anchorage, Alaska, 99501. And if you want to find information for electronic contributions, you can email Mary at pbyucon.org.
Hey, it did show up. From my side, it looked like it's not legible. I'm glad you could read that. Well, thank you. It's been fun.
Hey, it was fun. Thanks. Stay warm.
Yeah, and you stay safe. I know there's a storm in your area. Stay safe.
Yep. All right.